On Chinese social media, terms like layoff wave, unemployment wave, and closure wave have become hot topics. Cities such as Beijing, Shanghai, and Shenzhen are at the forefront. Due to a significant increase in unemployment and business closure, major Chinese cities are witnessing a mass exodus. Many migrant workers are choosing to return to their hometowns in search of livelihoods. In the video, we can see that Shanghai's train station has been overcrowded since the start of the October holiday season. Today, as a result of widespread business closures, more and more people are unemployed and are leaving big cities for new opportunities just before New Year. The trend of returning to hometowns in Shanghai has already begun. Migrant workers in factories or other places have gone back to their hometowns. Many of them won't be returning. Hongqiao railway station in Shanghai is packed with people. Factories are very quiet. Since foreign investments have pulled out of Shanghai, many factories have been relocated. How many are unemployed due to this? In China, the period from January to February every year is known as the Chinese New Year migration, or Chunyun. This is because during this period, the passenger traffic can reach over 2 billion for those returning home to reunite with their families for New Year. Due to the sluggish economy and the mass exodus of foreign-owned factories, many migrant workers are returning home early due to financial pressures. According to estimates, the number of people traveling during this year's Chunyun is expected to almost double compared to the same period in 2022. While there is typically a significant population movement during Chinese New Year, this year people are leaning more towards forced homecomings caused by unemployment as opposed to the usual holiday travel. In Shanghai, in 2023, the rent is too expensive, jobs are hard to find, businesses are struggling. It's a tough situation, so we have to return to our hometowns. That's why the return to hometown trend in Shanghai started earlier this year. Factory workers, temporary workers, and those facing year-end layoffs are all going back to their hometowns. This is the overall economic environment. It's not just Shanghai. Many places are going through a slump. Looking ahead to 2024, it's hard to predict. I only know that when people earn more, they have more confidence and are willing to spend. When they earn less, they hang out less, spend less, and that leads to a less active market. Therefore, businesses struggle with turnover, jobs become harder to find, and income decrease. When income decrease, people become even more cautious about going out. That's why many places are not as lively as they used to be. The lady's summary is very insightful and accurately reflects the true psychological factors behind people who choose to return earlier. Indeed, if wages in major cities were paid regularly to migrant workers, there wouldn't be an issue of returning home early. However, when one cannot earn enough money and faces financial pressures, the only option is to choose to return home in advance. After all, the cost of living in hometown is much lower than in big cities. In addition to Shanghai, Beijing has also witnessed the same phenomenon. Goodbye, Beijing, I won't come back anymore. This is a sentence that has recently been circulating widely online. It expresses the sentiment of many migrant workers in major cities. It's only December and Beijing is already experiencing a massive wave of people departing. Some are leaving with such strong emotions that they shout, "Goodbye, Beijing, I won't come back anymore." Returning home at the end of the year is not a new phenomenon, but this year is happening a whopping 3 months ahead of schedule. What's going on? The reason is that there are many middle-aged white-collar workers in Beijing who have recently become unemployed. Their annual incomes were usually around 400,000 to 500,000 yuan, approximately 56,000 to 70,000 US dollars. Due to the unfavorable economic environment and company layoffs, they have been replaced by overseas students who are willing to work for a few thousand yuan a month. After being laid off, they find it difficult to secure new employment, and the cost of living adds up, so they decided to return home early for the new year. There is also a group of entrepreneurs who had high hopes when they come to Beijing to enter the catering industry. However, in this highly competitive field, their funds couldn't last more than 3 months. They had no choice but to sell their businesses, carry debt and regrets as they returned home early. Additionally, many migrant workers born in the 60s and 70s also returned because finding jobs has been exceptionally challenging. One of the biggest issues many Chinese people are facing is being laid off and experiencing wage arrears. The Chaoyang labor and personnel dispute arbitration committee in Beijing is filled with individuals who have been unlawfully laid off. According to people in the video, they had been terminated by their employers under false pretenses, citing poor company performances as the reason. Some of them have also experienced long delays in receiving their wages. In addition, in recent days, white-collar workers in major cities like Beijing, Shenzhen, and Shanghai have also been forced to return 3 months earlier due to corporate layoffs, leading to a massive departure wave.
I've been laid off, my friends. I've been laid off by the company. Beijing has just entered a harsh winter, and so has my career. I fought with the company for 3 months, but in the end, I had to sign the resignation agreement. The job market conditions this year are extremely tough. Many colleagues from big companies who were laid off have been at home for half a year already, in middle age, with elderly parents and young children to support, not to mention the mortgage. I don't even know how to break the news to my family. At 40, suddenly, I feel lost, not knowing what to do. I've been laid off, my friends. This winter in Beijing is even colder than before. The day before I was laid off, I was still dealing with handover matters with my departing colleagues, never expecting that the next day it would be my turn. Separation happened so quickly. I'm just 30 years old this year, a programmer. Before I was laid off, I thought finding a new job would be relatively easy, but it's been a month since I left, and to be honest, I haven't even had an interview. It's extremely tough. The same goes for 3 or 4 other friends who were also laid off. They can't find work either. One of them has been unemployed for 6 months now. It's really challenging.
It's important to know that as China's top-tier cities, whether in terms of economic development or urban infrastructure, they have achieved a first-class standard. This is what has attracted a large influx of talent to these cities. However, today, these major cities are starting to have reverse development, which is indeed concerning. To understand the underlying reasons, we have to start with the most basic aspects of people's lives. One of the most significant characteristics of big cities is their high cost of living. Someone on the Chinese social media platform Weibo shared his story, stating that he had been working in Beijing for 7 years. His salary had increased from 8,000 yuan to 30,000 yuan. However, in 2023, he became unemployed, feeling that it was the worst year for them. He mentioned that the internet industry in Beijing seemed to have disappeared. In the past, job-seeking apps had hundreds of companies recruiting, but now there wasn't even anyone to chat with. He was not getting any attention for outsourcing opportunities. He ended up by sighing, "Now what should I do? Rent, the mortgage in my hometown, and living expenses." In Beijing, it has become increasingly difficult for individuals aged 30 and above to obtain factory jobs. A young woman who recently experienced an unsuccessful job interview shared her experience, saying that she had interviewed at a pharmaceutical factory. The factory operates on a 3-shift schedule, with each 8 hours a day and a monthly salary of over 5,000 Chinese yuan. However, the issue was that they were only hiring individuals under the age of 30. A couple in Beijing shared a lengthy post on the Chinese information platform Hushou describing their family's difficult situation. They wrote that both of them at the age of 40 had only a 4-digit amount in their savings. They had been working hard since graduation, but now they found themselves struggling more and more. It's quite distressing to think that they believed that working hard and living well would lead to a stable life, but things have taken a different turn. Not only was one of them laid off at the beginning of the year and unable to find a job, but the other also experienced a 50% pay cut. After paying a monthly mortgage of over 10,000 yuan, they were left with only a few thousand yuan to spend. With no other options, they had to stop many of their child's extracurricular activities and reluctantly cancel some expensive insurance plans. It was a difficult decision, but they had no choice. Otherwise, it would affect their normal lives. However, even though the company had fewer business activities, they found themselves busier than before. With a smaller team and reduced budgets from clients, the demand had actually increased. Many times they had to work until well past 10 p.m. While they were equally tired, their mindset had completely changed. In the past, they believed they were exceptionally talented and could create renowned projects in their industry, making a lot of money and living in a large house. But now they felt like they were just a production team's workhorse. Comparatively, Shenzhen doesn't offer much relief when compared to Beijing. According to statistics, the average price of second-hand homes in Shenzhen has surpassed that of Beijing, making it the most expensive among first-tier cities and causing concerns among the working population. But if you want to thrive in Shenzhen, not owning a home is not an option. This is because housing is closely tied to scarce resources like education and healthcare. It can be said that buying a house is equivalent to securing access to education and healthcare in the city. Despite high property prices, Shenzhen's public resources such as education and healthcare rank among the lowest compared to major cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. In the past few years, the acceptance rate of public high schools in Shenzhen is lower than 50%. Citizens compared that the middle school entrance exam is harder than the college entrance exam. As Associate Professor Shi Qizhen from MIT mentioned, in large cities like Beijing and Shanghai that attract a substantial amount of high-quality educational and healthcare resources, the public service premium embedded in property prices and their growth rates is notably high. The soaring property prices are not the only issue. Rental prices have also been rising dramatically, which are unbearable for many young people. One netizen shared that rental properties near their workplace were very expensive. They had to rent a place far from downtown to save money. This meant spending nearly 4 hours each day commuting. Considering his monthly salary of less than 8,000 yuan, buying a house was merely a dream. Moreover, after paying rent and covering basic expenses like food and cigarette and sending some money to his parents, he had very little left. He couldn't even think about having a girlfriend. The same challenges faced in Beijing and Shenzhen are also prevalent in cities like Shanghai and Guangzhou. According to earlier statistics, nearly 80% of working professionals surveyed in Shanghai reported an increase in stress levels. Shanghai appeared to have earned the title of the city of stress. Indeed, the main source of stress include income, long working hours, career uncertainties, and interpersonal relationships. On the other hand, unemployment is seen as a heavy blow for young people or recent graduates. Moreover, the phrase graduation equals unemployment feels like stepping into a swamp, causing inner despair and real-life challenges that can keep people up at dark nights. While official Chinese government data states that the unemployment rate of young people aged 16 to 24 reached a record high of 21.3% in June 2023, it's important to note that when youth unemployment reaches 1/5, it's generally considered a crisis. However, many industry experts believe that the actual unemployment rate for this group is not limited to just 1/5. It could be much higher, possibly exceeding 70% or roughly 3/4 of the young people population. An article titled Possibly Underestimated Youth Unemployment Rate has sparked discussions on the internet. The article mentions research conducted by Associate Professor Zhang Dandan and her team at Peking University. They found that the resurgence of the pandemic at the end of 2022 had a severe impact on the manufacturing industry in places like Suzhou and Kunshan. As of March 2023, the employment levels had only recovered to about 2/3 of what they were before the pandemic. Since young people are a significant portion of the workforce in the manufacturing sector, they have been particularly affected by these challenges. The scale of unemployment continues to break records. It has drawn increasing international attention. In an attempt to downplay the significant issue, the Chinese Communist Party government has resorted to drastic measures. In August 2023, the spokesperson for the National Bureau of Statistics of China, Fu Linghui, announced during a press conference that the Bureau would no longer release the unemployment data. Fu Linghui explained that there had been continuous expansion of the student population in China, with the primary mission of students being their studies. There are differing options in various sectors regarding whether students searching for jobs before graduation should be included in labor forces surveyed statistics. Therefore, further research is needed to define the age range for youth. He also added, currently, most graduates have already searched their employment prospects, and the overall employment situation for university graduates is stable. Due to the prolonged phenomenon of joblessness and unemployment, the lives of the Chinese people have fallen into a state of despair, characterized by no money to spend. As of November, China's Consumer Price Index, CPI, has seen a year-on-year decrease of 0.5%, marking the largest drop in the past 3 years since COVID-19 breakout. It's worth noting that this data is based on the official statistics provided by the National Bureau of Statistics of China, which is often viewed with some skepticism due to the concerns of data manipulation. While the people have no money to spend, the development of businesses has also been directly impacted. According to data from a China technology-focused website, there were over 10,000 business closures from 2020 to 2022. In 2022 alone, China saw the closure of 3,378 new economy businesses. Even Beijing's Zhongguancun Scenic Park, known for its concentration of technology and startup companies, had to close due to financial difficulties. Many offices and storefronts are vacant with a deserted atmosphere. According to a report by Singtao Daily, the once bustling core area of Zhongguancun, known as Entrepreneurship Street, is now quite deserted with a sparse population compared to its former vibrancy. A bookstore owner in Zhongguancun mentioned that some companies in the area have moved away. He noted there are not as many people here anymore. Next to his bookstore, there used to be an IT company, but it has now turned into a restaurant. In 2023, for many workers, the defining word for the year was unemployment. For business owners, it was closure. People are gradually realizing that in China, the returns on their hard work are not proportionate, with many toiling away but unable to collect their rightful wages. It can be said that China's economy is collapsing at an unimaginable pace. Whether the economy under the rule of the CCP will face its ultimate collapse remains a question, and 2024 may provide an answer to it.